Alright, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about dictionaries. We're going to talk about how we can use dictionaries as precursors to databases. Talk about what key value pairs are, how to modify values, how to remove key value pairs, and how to input multi-line entries. Alright, let's try it out. First thing we're going to do is open up Visual Studio, create a new project. Or actually a new Python file. You can use a previous solution if you want. I'm going to use the same project as before, this Babby's first Python solution. And in my solutions over here on the right, I'm going to create a new file. I'm just going to right click and add a new item. It's going to be an empty Python file, and I'm going to call it Dictionaries. Alright, so after that, we should have this empty section here. I'm going to make that dictionaries.py file my startup file by right-clicking it over here in my listing in the Solution Explorer and setting it as my startup file. Alright, we're ready to test it out. So just as usual, I'm going to start off with my initials and the date. It's December already. Alright, so what are dictionaries? We can think about dictionaries as key value pairs, or you can think of it in terms of an Excel spreadsheet. A lot of you have used Excel before. So you could think of this simply as an Excel table where you have key and value pairs. So I could have on one side where I have my keys here. Hello. Okay. He's right back. Okay, yeah. Do you want him to sign it right now? Or? Okay. Sarah? Could I have you sign this for me? Alright, so you could have, for a key, you could have something like favorite food, and for value, you could have whatever your favorite kind of food is. So these two things are paired together. You could think of it as there's a key on one part of your table, and then next to that you have a value that's assigned to it. So you could have something like this, to where it's a very simple paired up relationship where you have one entry, and with that entry there is a value that's assigned, and we can change what the value is. So we could have favorite food, and we could change what that value is from one thing to the other. So let's see how we can create that kind of thing here in a dictionary. Dictionaries can store almost a limitless amount of information, and you can loop through them, so you can do a lot of interesting things with that data. Also, you can nest dictionaries inside of lists, or lists inside of dictionaries, and you can even nest dictionaries inside of dictionaries. So there's a lot of expansion that you could do with this kind of a idea. So let's create a simple dictionary first. We're going to use the example from the Python Crash Course Chapter 6 Dictionary section, and if you want to follow along in the textbook itself, you'll see that what we're doing is kind of alongside that. To get there, you could go into our computer programming course, and you go to the Python materials folder, and in that Python materials folder you'll see this PDF file. If you open that PDF, you can get to where we are on page 136. If you just type in 136 here, then it will take you, oh sorry, not 136, we're before that. We're at about 129 is where this starts. So if you want to follow along with the PDF, you can, or you can follow along just by doing what I'm doing up here. So first we're going to create a simple dictionary. In this case we're going to make an Alien Invaders style game. Now the difference between a dictionary and a list is it uses these curly brackets. you'll see these curly brackets occasionally. If I just list out these curly brackets by themselves and I hover my mouse over it, you'll see that it says it's a dictionary. Right now it's an empty dictionary. But if we wanted to give this a key value pair, we can start by giving a key, which is the first entry. Then you put a colon and you put its value to that key. So right now this is basically saying that there is a key called color. And that key's value is green. So that's just like us going into an Excel spreadsheet and having something like this, except it would say color, and over here on the side it would say green. They're paired together. There's a key value pair relationship going on here. And that's what you have to think of when you're actually creating something like this. These are linked together. You've got your key, then colon, and then a value to pair up to it. We can have multiple entries inside of this dictionary. So what we're going to do is we're going to have another value, key value pair, which will be points. And we could put just 5. So let's take a look at this. This is one key value pair. You've got the string color is the key. The value to that string color is green. Then this comma says, oh, by the way, there's another entry. So there's actually, basically this is like setting up another row right here. This would be points. And then over here we have 5. So you can think of it as every time that you put a comma in, you're switching to a new key value pair. Basically, we're creating a dictionary that has multiple entries in it, or multiple lines, and multiple key value pairs. Alright, if we want to print out one of these particular entries, we can just use the print command. And inside the print command, you list the name of your dictionary. And then, just like we did before with lists, how we use these square brackets to be able to see what entry there was in there, you could list out, I want to see what the value of this alien's color is. You can type in the key entry here, and it will list out what the value is. So right here you'll notice I want to print out Dictionary Alien Zero's color, which is listed here. You would write whatever the key is that you want to be displayed. I also want to list what the points are, so I'm just going to copy this. And instead of color, I'm going to put in points. If I run this, then you'll see it lists out the value of the color here, which is green. And it also lists out the value of the points, which is 5. So we can use this for a lot of different things. We could have, instead of Alien Zero, we could list out somebody's name. So I'm gonna put McDowell equals, and as a dictionary, I'm gonna have fave food. And I like Mexican food. That's my favorite type of food. And I'll put fave game. And my favorite game is chess. I could have all kinds of different entries. Favorite band. There we go. We'll have another entry here. And that would be 9 Inch Nails. There we go. If I wanted to print out any of these entries, I could simply write down what my name is, or the name of this dictionary variable, which I saved here. And then inside of square brackets, I could write the key that I'm looking for. So if I wanted fave game, it would list out that favorite game. If I press F5 to run this, There we go. It printed out the color of the aliens, the point value of the aliens, and also it printed out my favorite game down here. Alright, so now we know that dictionaries are basically lists that have key value pairs. They have a reference to something else, so you have your key and your value. When you declare them, they're separated by a colon, and each key value pair is separated by a comma inside of its parameter list. So you could have more than one key value pair inside of a dictionary. The simplest only has one, like if I just had McDowell favorite food, Mexican, and that's it, I left all this out, then you would only have one key value pair. That's still technically a dictionary. It's just a very simple one. So we talked about how you can access one of these. You simply access a value by declaring the name of the dictionary and then in square brackets what the name of the key is, and it will give you the value. Let's talk about adding some new values to that. We can create new entries inside of a previously created dictionary. Let's do that right now. I'm going to say creating or adding key value pairs. So it is possible to start with an empty dictionary. Like in this case, I'm going to create an empty dictionary called student games. And I can create an empty dictionary simply by putting these empty curly brackets, like this. So now there's a dictionary called student games, but it has nothing in it. If I want to add something to it, I could do this. Student games. I could put square brackets, and then I could name a new key that I want to put in here. I'm going to put favorite video game. Actually, I'll put names here, so let's see. Jared, what's your favorite video game? Pokemon. Alright. So I'm going to put here. So right here I have student games. I created an empty dictionary. And then inside that empty dictionary, I created a key called Jared. And inside that key, the value that I assigned is Pokemon right here. So let's see, adding Jared as key, Pokemon as value to that key. So this is how you would add to an empty dictionary. If I wanted to list everything in that dictionary, you would see that Jared would be added to that dictionary as a key, and then the value to that key would be Pokemon. If you just print out the name of your dictionary, it's going to print out everything that is inside that dictionary. So let me run this. I'm going to just comment all this out up above with 3 single quotes, just so that way we can see only what's going on here with the student games. If I press F5 and run this, you'll see that this statement right here where I printed out just the student games name, I didn't specify a particular entry of that dictionary. It's going to print out everything in that dictionary. So if I add something else here, let me add another student games in here. I'm just going to copy and paste this student games. Raul, what's your favorite game? Ratchet and Crank. All right. Clank, sorry. Clank. Is it with a K? Alright, there we go. Ratchet and Clank. Let me go ahead and capitalize Pokemon too. Why not? So if I run this, I can now see that there's two entries. There's this Jared colon Pokemon, and then there's a comma, and then there's Raul colon Ratchet and Clank. So you can see that as we add to this, we can print out the entire dictionary at once right here, just by printing and putting the name of that dictionary up. And we can actually do the same thing to edit any kind of dictionary entry that you want. Let's say Raul changed his mind after I had this database already set up. This is going to be the first entry of that. But if I take this same line right here, let's say we want to edit what Raul's entry is, we don't have to necessarily take out his entry here or his key. We can just change what the value is. So I'm just going to put maybe not for his student game right here, just to show you that we could change it after the fact. It's like it's a multiple variable. So right here it's going to be Ratchet and Clank. If I print this after I change this entry down here, then you'll see that it will change. So there we go. This first entry right here, when it prints out student games, this is after it has created Ratchet and Clank. Then we change that entry right here into maybe not, and you can see when it prints it the second time, it shows that entry instead. So this is how you create entries, but it is also how you can modify previous entries. If you just put in the name of a key that has already been put in, you can change what its value pair is. Alright, let's talk about how you can remove pairs. That's pretty easy to do. Let's add a few more entries in here to student games. So I'm just going to go in here and copy and paste a few times. Mary, what's your favorite game? What is that? OSU. Alright. Dylan, what's your favorite game? Felony Simulator 5. Alright. Yes, I know. Grand Theft Auto 5, Felony Simulator 5. You got it. What else we have here? Let's see. Edgar, what's your favorite game? Alright. Alright, so if I inputted all these things in as possible entries, we can print out what the student games are here, and it should list out all of these entries. There we go. We have them all listed one after another. Perfect. Now let's say I wanted to remove one of these entries. I'm going to put one more entry in here that I'm going to remove. I'm going to put in my dog's name, Spy, and her favorite game is Catch. Now if I wanted to remove this entry right here, Spy's entry, the way that you could do that is simply by putting in the del command. So in this case, I want to delete student games. I want to delete Spy's entry. And if I print the student names or the student games after that, then it's going to basically remove this key value pair from that list. As you can see here, there's a Spy Catch entry here, but then the second time it prints it out, it has removed that entry, so it's no longer on there. There's one helpful thing that you can do if you wanted to put in a bunch of key value pairs. You don't necessarily have to write it out like this, where you're declaring each particular key value pair separately. There's a way where you can input a whole bunch at once, so let's do that right now. So let's say I wanted to add a whole bunch of entries into one dictionary. We'll say let's keep with the student games idea here. So what we could do is we can make we'll do board games instead of video games. I'm going to create a new dictionary, and what you can do is you can simply open a bracket much like this. You can open your curly brackets, and then as long as it's tabbed over one, you can put in your key value pairs each on a separate line. So Riley, what's your favorite board game? Rummy? Alright, Rummy. So if I do this, I could put in each key value pair separated by a line. So right here I have student board games. I put my curly brackets open, and now I can just put a single line and put in each key value pair that I want. Jonathan, what's your favorite board game? Yes. Monopoly. You're a sadist. Monopoly. There we go. Alyssa, what's your favorite board game? What's that? Either one. What's your favorite board game, Alyssa? Sorry. Alright. I think that has an exclamation point in the name that's necessary. Whoops. I want to change this. There we go. Alright, Carlos, what about you? What's your favorite board game? Operation. That's a good one. Neil, what about your favorite game? What's your favorite board game? Candyland. Alright. Alright, make sure that you put a comma after each key value pair. So this is creating a dictionary of student board games, basically their favorite board games. And the first entry is the key, the second value is the value. So you have key value pairs for each one of these. When you're all done with defining your dictionary, you want to make sure that you put a curly brace at the end of it here. And this will create a dictionary that we could list out if we just printed student board games. It will show you that those are separate entries, and here it is right here. I could even print our students' favorite board games are, and list out those board games. Oh, we need to convert it to a string first. can list it out in that term. We can also clean this up to make it look better by using a loop. So what we could do is we could print out a print statement that says our students' favorite board games are, and we can list out the string of the different board games, or you could list out each particular entry. So if I wanted Riley's favorite game, we could put Riley's favorite board game is, and then we could put the name of the board game, or the name of the dictionary, and what key do we want? We want Riley's key. Oops. You may need to put the str function on here. Yep. Riley's not defined. It's because we need to put some quotes around it. And there we go. It says Riley's favorite board game is, and we're calling that one entry of the dictionary. We put in the name of her key here, and then that will show what the value is, which in this case is Rummy. So with these abilities that you have right here, you should be able to type out all of the information that you need to create the graded material for this week. If you go to the projects folder in our Schoology assignments, you go to Python projects, and you go to dictionary practice, you should be able to do everything inside this dictionary practice with the information I just gave to you. If you need to find the video that's recorded here, you can find it right here on our Schoology page in the programming demo videos. I hope you have a great time. If you need any help, don't hesitate to ask. I hope you have a great week.